Russell Reynolds recently underwent a huge survey interviewing, I think it was over 1,000 CEOs. And what happened and what came out, this was correlated in the Leadership Confidence Index, is a lot of chief executives are not convinced that their leadership teams are capable of implementing strategies around ESG, around diversity, equity, and inclusion going forward. Now, that doesn't surprise me because all the reports have said, CEOs are saying one thing, there's a huge, divergence between employees and leaders, what the CEO is saying versus the leadership doing, etc. But what it confirms is that a new type of leadership development training program is critically needed. Critically needed. It's one of the things I also talk about in my book, but it's critically needed. And it's a two-part thing. And this is why, I'm so happy that at Benefactum Consulting, we have actually developed this type of development program because it has to look at two things. There's the educational piece, understanding the mechanics of gender equality, oppression, or gender inequity, gender inequality, social justice as a one part of understanding the what. But then the next part is the how. How do we implement these kinds of strategies? What does it look like on a daily basis? What does it look like, business as usual, even when you're not thinking? Is that part of, even when I'm not thinking, I'm thinking, how does this become part of how I intuitively work, as opposed to, I thought about it and now I have to retrofit it? And this is one of the big trends we're going to be seeing over the coming year for sure, is that there's going to need to be a pivot, yes, in high potential candidates, but this type, very specific type of leadership development is focusing on how do we implement it. We've had 2 years, let's say, of intense education. We're now in the moment of measurement. How effective has our DEI initiatives been? Have we been specific is the question organizations need to be asking. And if we haven't been specific, how do we go about being specific? What does that look like? Do I, as a senior member of staff, have the confidence to be able to negotiate whataboutism when people say, why are you focusing on? And this is going to be critical. Because if this information or if the values from the CEO are not trickling down through to leadership, or they're being understood, but not being implemented, then there's still a huge gap. And what was really interesting about this survey is that they said the CEOs are worried that if these leadership teams cannot get this right, they will not have a business. So for a lot of organizations, they're seeing we have a problem. But once again, who is going to hold the leadership team accountable? And can some of these CEOs even deliver what they're asking their leadership team to do? You don't need to be able to, but are they also going on that same journey? And this is why I'm excited. I'm excited to see as more organizations looking at this particular type of leadership development program, the what and the how do we implement, because this is going to be the most critical part to creating change with in any sort of business. Without leadership buy-in, we don't create change. But if that leadership team does not know how to do it, still going in the same circle, or is it cycle? But both. So take a think about that. If this is you and you think to yourself, I don't know, I'm not sure how to, then drop us a line. Feel free to contact me via LinkedIn. But it's really critical that we get to this part of the doing and not just